This is the Effing Business Podcast. You ask the questions, we answer. Welcome back to the podcast. I have Mike Toole here. Entrepreneur, correct?
Entrepreneur, yeah.
Perfect. Talk about influencer marketing. That's his game. It's where he plays. And so tell us a little about yourself. Thanks.
Thank you. So I got involved in influencer marketing kind of unintentionally.
Okay.
I've been an entrepreneur and inside an artist for a really long time, and which led me to connecting artists with businesses and also with just advising them on basic, simple business practices. I started a publication about 4 years ago called Entrepreneur, and the idea was to create a magazine that has only positive content and that bridges the gap between creativity and entrepreneurship. So we were focusing a lot on architects, interior designers, people that work in advertising and marketing, and kind of evolved into an influencer marketing magazine because creativity and entrepreneurship is something that most influencers are.
Gotcha.
Creators, but they're also running their own business at the same time.
Sort of like made a merge, a nice little something happened and got creativity, entrepreneur, came into an influencer, and you...
Exactly, and at the same time we were very actively involved in Instagram,
Right.
And very aware of you know where Instagram is going, where social media is going, and where influencer marketing is going. So we also saw that as a really good opportunity to get in on a new industry that I believe in very, very strongly.
Yeah, I mean, I like influencer marketing a lot. I think I think when it comes to, you have a lot of these big guys who make money being in influencer marketing and really play the game and so on. I have all the props to them. I think they're playing the game as best as you can. I think there's also slowly starting to happen is the consumer is starting to catch on to that a little bit, in my opinion, that they're starting to catch on to, hey, I'm being promoted these things, or this guy's selling me something. I think it happens way more in female products, things like that, makeup, stuff like that, where people are okay with it. I think on male product side, I don't know. Me personally, like I read into it very quickly. I'm sure you've heard of Tai Lopez. Like I don't like that he has to talk in front of a Lamborghini to sell me something or his book or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm way more interested in. I know you have an opinion on it and stuff like that. On like the what we were just talking about, like the micro or the nano influencer. I think it's a way more interesting space. I think it's a really cool space where you can take small mom Sally from the block and make her into a micro or nano influencer for your product, services, or anything like that. I think that's really cool to me.
Yeah, so I think what you touched on are two relevant but different topics. Because there's one which is authenticity in the content. You can be a very large influencer, right. You can be a very average person. It's kind of like being a salesperson,
right,
or being a consultant who makes really good suggestions. You're going to trust the consultant a lot more than the salesperson. Most people can read right through that. So that's really more about the actual person and how they promote themselves. You have people that, their entire identity is kind of like they're almost like a deal site where they're just constantly pushing deals and pushing promotions, right, and things like that. But then at the same time, you also have then you have people who are actually sharing relevant information, and you don't necessarily take it as you're being sold.
Right.
It's very obvious that they're making some money off of it, and they'll tell you outright, and they're very transparent in the fact that they're getting paid for it. But it's different if it's someone who is there to serve you and to provide you with value, with information. Like, for example, I have a friend who I met before I knew she was an influencer, and she has an account which talks all about eco products. Everything is eco. She's getting paid for a lot of the posts she's doing and a lot of the products she's promoting, but at the same time, she genuinely lives an eco lifestyle. She blogs about her lifestyle, and she's educating her audience who's obsessed with her because they want to learn about that, and she's showing them like, hey, these are things you never knew you can find eco-friendly. Here's a company that has it eco-friendly. So obviously she's getting paid for it, but she's not getting paid for every single one of them. They kind of mix it up, but it's about how you communicate your message. So you're going to say, hey, I have the best product, buy it now. That's kind of silly. But if you're going to educate them like, hey, this is something that can really bring you value and all of that, and you can even disclose the fact that you're getting paid for it, I think that that's really the right way to do it. And it's important that anyone who's going to hire influencers also looks into that, not just looking at follower count and like count, is what kind of message is this influencer going to project from your company? What are they going to, how are they going to present your company, and how are they going to sell it? Is it going to make you look cheap, or is it going to make you look really good, elevated?
At what point do you think that a person goes from like being not so much a micro or where they're authentic, they're giving value to their viewership? Do they go from being that, I don't want to say micro or nano or anything at that point, but where does it switch over from bringing lots of value about information? Your friend who gives out a lot of information for eco, where's that trigger? Where's that switch? Or is it from the get you have to be, hey, I'm gonna be, this is my space, I'm gonna play here, and I'm gonna talk about eco, and I'm gonna be an influencer eventually, or is it sort of people stumble upon it?
So you're saying, how does someone become like
How does
a
someone
major
become,
influencer?
or how does someone, or is it someone you sort of stumble upon?
So I think that a lot of the ones that are the most successful were just being authentic into what they're naturally into, and but at the same time they were aware of the fact that they can grow their audience, and they used whatever tools they can and stayed ahead of the curve by, being active in promoting themselves or in using things that will help them increase their following, and being on top of how the industry's going and connecting with other influencers, and just being proactive on growing their account. So I think it's really a combination of both. But then at the same time, you have people that go in more with the business approach, which is essentially can be a person or it can be a brand, where you're going out there, you're producing a whole bunch of content that'll present a certain image, and then you're spending a bunch of money on getting the traffic to that, which is basically building the following for
Right.
it. Which, buying followers. There's two different things with buying followers. Like, you may look at it like, oh, buying followers is fake followers, which generally that term refers to it. It refers to someone who's gonna pay some guy out in a third world country that has some bot that created 100,000 fake Instagram accounts that'll follow you, but there's no engagement. But then there's also buying followers where, like, you do with paid ads and pay-per-click ads.
Viewership.
You can boost your posts on Instagram to a targeted group of audience. If you spend enough money on that and you're putting the right content out, you're going to increase your following. Now you're buying real followers. You're not buying fake followers if you're doing that.
You're buying their viewership for that moment, and then you have them.
Yeah, well, the ones that like you are going to actually follow you and continue following. So it's like
content's
buying
gotta
clicks
be
to,
there.
yeah, it's like getting clicks to your website, and then they subscribe to your newsletter.
Right.
Yeah. So in regards to nano influencers, so for people that don't know nano influencers, you've heard the term of micro and macro influencers and celebrity influencers. Celebrity influencers are usually the ones with millions of followers. Macro influencers usually have a couple 100,000 followers. Micro are generally, everyone has a different standard to where they'll grade it, but anywhere from 10,000 to 100,000 or 5,000 to 50,000. Nano are influencers that are generally, let's say, from 500 to 3,000
Right.
followers. There's social media optimized retail. Okay, it's a term that not a lot of people use and not a lot of people are aware of, but that might be when you're walking into a shop and there's a really cool mural on the wall that everyone wants to take a selfie with. Or there's actually a restaurant that opened in Wynwood recently, where they do poke bowls, but they, instead of using regular plates, they carve out pineapples or watermelons, and they fill the whole thing up, and it's basically, I call it food for the camera. It's something that just makes your camera starve. Your camera's dying to take a picture of that.
Right.
Feed the camera. So if you create things within your
That
business
feeds the camera.
that feed the camera, and at the same time give them the awareness of how to tag you, because sometimes people will post it, but they may not tag you unless you tell them to tag you.
Right.
So by simply putting a tag, whether you're running a campaign promotion like, hey, tag us for a chance to be featured, it's the simplest thing you can do. It'll cost you nothing. Everyone wants to be featured.
Right.
So if you just actually start encouraging people to tag you and then repost everyone that's tagging you, you're getting user-generated content right there for free. Third-party validation, because these are actual customers that are validating you and your product. And you're getting also that loyalty, because now they feel they got something from you. You featured them. You made them feel special. So it's really a win-win from everything. And I think that there are a lot of businesses that are not aware of it, so they're not taking advantage of it. But there are a lot of ways to really activate organic influencers, organic social media, without really putting in any money, just by being a little creative and
feed the camera.
intentional. Yeah, feed the camera.
Yeah, we say a lot. We create a lot of content. We talk about that. We want to create that thumb-stopping experience.
Yeah.
And feeding the camera is just exactly what that is, but for influencers, it's feed the camera.
Yeah.
It's something that feeds a person.
Tempt the camera.
Tempt the camera. Yeah, I like that.